For merely glancing once at her beautiful mistress, Hung Fu was punished and forced to kneel outside the bedroom door for an entire hour. Yet instead of expressing gratitude, the girl suddenly bit her. Hung Fu was stunned, but the girl's grandmother arrived just in time and resolved the situation. Later, the grandmother invited Hung Fu to join them for dinner, where Hung Fu slowly learned about Jos's lonely and secretive life. Josie had been disabled since birth, and her parents were already gone. Her grandmother never allowed her to step outside, leaving her completely cut off from the world. Hung Fu noticed that Jos's family lived very simply, though the food they served was incredibly delicious. At that time, Hung Fu didn't even have enough money to buy meals, so she ate without hesitation or shame. Understanding her hardship, the grandmother offered her a well-paid job. Hung Fu was a marine biology student who had always been deeply drawn to the ocean. Her dream was to study in Mexico, which forced her to juggle several part-time jobs. When she heard the grandmother's offer, she accepted it immediately, on one condition: Josie was never allowed to leave the house. However, the moment the grandmother stepped away, Josie locked herself in her room. Hung Fu tried multiple times to see her, but every attempt failed and only brought her suffering instead. After enduring this for an entire month, Hung Fu's professor informed her that her research had been approved by a renowned professor in Mexico, along with a scholarship. The news filled her with excitement, as she no longer needed to worry about saving money. She decided right away to resign from Jos's job. But when Hung Fu went to speak with Josie, she forgot that the grandmother was waiting for them. Upon returning home, the grandmother harshly scolded them and strictly forbade them from going out again. Yet within Josie, a new desire to see the world had already awakened. From that moment on, Hung Fu and Josie began sneaking out every single day. Hung Fu became her legs. For the first time in her life, Josie rode a Ferris wheel, went to the cinema, and experienced countless new things. Hung Fu walked beside her through the park, fed her street snacks, and when Josie became fascinated by a skateboard, Hung Fu made one just for her. One day, they visited an oceanarium, where Josie felt as though she was truly swimming in the sea. Their journey soon took new turns. Every night, after their day ended, Hung Fu brought Josie to the library. Surrounded by endless books, Josie grew excited and discovered a novel she loved. Soon, another girl named Watai approached her, drawn by their shared interest in the same book. The two chatted and quickly became friends. Watai initially mistook Hung Fu and Josie for a couple and jokingly teased them. Josie blushed deeply and nervously replied, "I can't be your boyfriend." Yet her words failed to hide the feelings buried in her heart. Seeing their playful reaction, Watai simply smiled and left the library. That very day, Hung Fu took Josie to her workplace, a diving shop. After meeting Hung Fu's friends there, Josie felt an unfamiliar unease. The girls who visited the shop were free and independent, while she remained seated in her wheelchair. Her sadness intensified when a girl named Xiao Wu interacted naturally with Hung Fu, as if they shared a long history. Josie felt completely out of place. Hung Fu tried to understand the reason behind Josie's sorrow, but even Josie herself couldn't explain it. Believing that Xiao Wu was more suitable for Hung Fu, Josie asked her grandmother to dismiss Hung Fu from the job. When Hung Fu received the call, she had no idea why everything had suddenly fallen apart. Without Josie, her days felt painfully empty. Meanwhile, Josie began visiting the library alone. When Watai noticed Hung Fu's absence, she asked, "Where's the guy who was always with you?" Josie simply smiled and avoided the question. One day, a young girl in the library insisted on hearing a story from Josie. Gradually, more children gathered around her, and she began drawing beautiful pictures for them. Watai, witnessing this, suggested that Josie publish her artwork as a book. Those words lit a new spark of hope in Josie's heart, giving birth to dreams of a new future. That same night, as Josie was quietly drawing at home, Hung Fu suddenly appeared at her door. Josie was completely shocked. Hung Fu couldn't understand why Josie had pushed her away, but she still handed her a gift, a fish lantern. The lantern represented a rare Mexican angelfish. Hung Fu explained that she had loved this fish since childhood, and when she learned it was a social creature unable to survive alone, she saw her own loneliness reflected in it. She told Josie that she had grown up in a single-parent household and had always yearned for a complete family. Hung Fu was about to reveal that she would be leaving for Mexico in 6 months, but the lantern's light suddenly went out, forcing her to fix it. In that moment, something stirred deep within Josie. For the first time, she felt how fast her heart could race in someone's presence. She could no longer hide her feelings, and her perspective began to change. The girl who once defined herself by her wheelchair and disability started seeing herself anew. Josie took Hung Fu to the zoo and challenged herself to face the tiger first. Her grandmother had always warned her that the world was like a tiger, dangerous and ready to devour her. But as Josie held Hung Fu's hand, she realized the world wasn't as terrifying as she had been told. On their way back, they stopped by a riverbank where one of Josie's childhood dreams came true. Seeing the cherry blossoms once again, she promised Hung Fu that she would return there the following year. Hung Fu remained silent, knowing she wouldn't be there next year, yet unable to tell Josie the truth. When they finally returned home, a devastating tragedy struck. Josie's grandmother passed away. Maybe the changes Josie had gone through had eased her worries. Her expression was calm, filled with peace. But for Josie, the loss was unbearable. After the funeral, a social worker visited Josie and asked what she planned to do with her life. When Josie said she wanted to become an illustrator, the man laughed at her. His words crushed her newly formed dreams. Josie fell deeper into her sadness. She went down to the riverbank thinking about how to go on. That's when Xia Wu appeared and revealed a truth that pierced Josie's heart. Hung Fu was leaving, and she needed to stay away from him. Those words shattered her. On one side, she couldn't bear to let Hung Fu go. But on the other, she didn't want to block his dream. No happiness remained. No hope. When they arrived by the ocean, Josie only stared at it from afar. The first time she had come here, her face glowed with light. Now her heart felt as heavy as stone. This place was no longer just scenery. It had become a memory, something she no longer owned, just like Hung Fu. Tears rolled down her face as she turned away in silence. An uneasy feeling rose inside Hung Fu. It felt like a storm raging in his chest as he recalled Josie's words. This was meant to be their final meeting. The thought ripped his heart apart, and he refused to accept it. Without hesitation, he ran after her. But suddenly, a horrific accident unfolded before his eyes. Josie couldn't see what was happening. She collapsed nearby, her body covered in blood. Outside the emergency room, Josie blamed herself, convinced that what happened to Hung Fu was all her fault. After an entire night of treatment, Hung Fu finally regained consciousness. His first concern was Josie. When he learned she wasn't hurt, he felt a brief sense of relief. But the doctor soon delivered devastating news. Hung Fu's right leg bones were badly fractured, his joints severely damaged. He might never walk normally again. Hearing this, Hung Fu's mind went completely blank. The dream he had carried since childhood, the very purpose of his life, was suddenly gone. Josie sat silently beside his hospital bed. She understood his pain, because she had lived with the same emptiness for 24 years. The next morning, Hung Fu's professor arrived with another cruel truth. If Hung Fu couldn't go to Mexico on time, his place would be given to someone else. In other words, if he didn't recover soon, his entire dream would be destroyed. Darkness filled Hung Fu's eyes. In a single moment, all his hopes were shattered. He grabbed his foreign language books and threw them straight into the trash. Just a day ago, he dreamed of conquering the world. Now, he didn't even want to think about living. Xiao Wu, who had always supported him, tried to take him outside and encouraged him not to give up. But Hung Fu had fallen into a place that was hard to escape. Like Josie, his pain had grown so deep that he no longer wanted to try. Then Xiao Wu made a surprising confession. She loved Hung Fu, but she had never spoken her feelings because she didn't want her love to interfere with his dreams. On the day he was supposed to leave, she wanted to confess one last time, and then let him go. Meanwhile, Josie was drowning in despair as well. Only one thought echoed in her mind. Hung Fu's ruined life was her fault. Xiao Wu came to see her and forced her to step back into Hung Fu's life. Only Josie, she said, could give him a reason to live again. After hearing this, Josie made a decision. She chose to tell a story through her drawings, a story about a mermaid. For days, she worked non-stop, creating an illustrated book. The story followed a mermaid who left the ocean to chase her dream. But once she reached land, a tiger attacked her. A boy with white wings saved her, and the two became friends. Later, as the boy pursued his own dream, he fell, and his wings were broken. The mermaid tried to heal him using a magical shell, but in exchange, she turned into foam. This story mirrored the lives of Josie and Hung Fu. When Hung Fu walked into the bookstore and saw Josie reading her book, tears streamed down his face. It was a new moment, the start of a new journey. After hearing Josie's story, Hung Fu decided to live again. He began his rehabilitation, and Josie stayed by his side every single day. Slowly, over the course of a month, Hung Fu learned how to walk again. One day in the hospital, Hang Fu was about to tell Josie that he had found the will to live, but Josie stayed silent. There was an unusual calm on her face, as though she were hiding something. Hung Fu quickly realized the truth. She was saying goodbye. On the day of his discharge, Hang Fu waited for Josie, but she never came. When he went to her house, it was empty. Josie had disappeared. He searched everywhere, from the library to all their familiar places, but there was no sign of her. At last, he found a clue. A girl in a wheelchair had boarded a train. Without hesitation, Hung Fu chased after her. Soon, a jungle appeared before him. His heart raced wildly. Ahead lay only one thing: the tracks of Josie's wheelchair leading deep into the jungle. His mind was hollow, like a cold wind passing through. Only one thought remained: I have to find Josie. Hope rose into the air like unseen wings. And with that, this beautiful story came to an end.